So I'll leave my review about BMT or basic military training at the end. But first, a few quick fun stories. The first one is when I went out of course. Now, in BMT, when you're out of course means usually if you're from a unit, they get sent back to your unit. But for me, I stayed in the company and I continued to be there. Now, me and this other guy were out of course and we were walking towards the canteen one day. And the commander of our company, he basically was standing there staring at us. And then he said, "Hey, the two of you, come here." And I remember going, "Oh, shit." Because here's the thing. I always felt he was firm but fair. But also for that reason, he was a hard ass. So I thought he's going to just rag on us for being useless soldiers, being out of course. So we walk over slowly and then we go, "Yes, sir." And then from behind him, he takes out this hand and says, "Nah." And in his hand were 2 chocolate ice creams. Now you must understand how precious this is. Because remember, recruits were not allowed to buy food on the island. We only could eat canteen food. Chocolate ice cream was like, hallelujah, hallelujah. So we all took the ice cream and we just looked at him and we just looked at him and we go, huh? And then he goes, "For the two of you, take." And we took it and then we're like, "Thank you, sir." And then he says, "Okay, you took our course now, huh? Remember, you got any problems or anything you need help with, just come to me. Alright? You all can go to canteen." And then I was like, "Oh, thank you." But that's the funny thing. I really felt it was true kindness. Now that he was not responsible for training us into being combat-ready soldiers, he, in my opinion, just felt like you were just another son of Singapore and he would take care of you. And I believe that to this day. The second story was when I was out of course also with this guy and a corporal was standing there. Usually what we would do is when others were gone out for the training, the two of us would get jobs to help facilitate the company. And this time, we were basically just going to get jerry cans full of water that when they're full, they're about 10 to 15 kilos each. And we had to bring them up 4 flights of stairs and each floor will have about 2 or 3 or maybe even 4. Can't remember. I think it's 2 or 3 on each floor. So then when they come back, we can do the area cleaning. And back then, I was 50 kilos, no weight training, so it was really hard. So the corporate said, "Oh, you have to do this." And usually, standard procedure, when they tell you to do this, right, they either go back to the office or they watch you do it. Now, everybody who trains us in B.M.T are very nice people. I still believe this to this day, but it was standard procedure. So the two of us were like, okay, whatever. So we start carrying these jerry cans up slowly because we just were so tired. And then early on, we see this corporal carry 1 jerry can in each hand and just bound up the staircases. And then we were like, huh? Okay, so we basically just keep doing it till we're done. And when it came down to the last 2 jerry cans, the corporal said, "It's okay, the two of you can go to the canteen, I'll finish up." And I remember stopping him and going like, "Corporal, thank you so much for suffering with us. I and my friend would like to carry the last 2 if you don't mind. We really appreciate the kindness you showed to us." I remember he was the one that became shocked and he went like, "You sure?" And then he's like, "Yes, sir." And then he's like, okay, just make sure you don't get hurt, huh? And that lesson is something, an important lesson that I learned, where if you want to be a leader, showing people that they will not die alone is so important. Because after that, I trusted him instinctively, right? I always took it that he's not doing things to be a dick. If he told you something and he couldn't help you, it's because he really couldn't. And I take this to this day, like I play board games, I will learn rules even when I don't have to. Why? Because it shows respect. And then letting the guy who bring the game know, hey, you're not going to die alone. I will take care of you. So that's the second story. The last one was when we were going to go POP or passing out parade. So for the platoon, we're going to gather at some spot and then basically have a mini party for the months of suffering together. So there'll be a table, there'll be snacks and then juice and all. And the head of all the companies in the area, he walked up to this big Indian guy. And then he said to me, "Hey, I heard your England very good, huh?" Now that's English for, I heard your English is really good. And I look at him and I go like, yeah, I would guess my English is decent. And he said, "Okay, good. Tomorrow, you will be the MC. You will introduce everybody for the performances and all that." And I go like, what should I say? And he's like, "Just be entertaining, introduce us." He's like, okay. So I went home, I thought about it. And next day I went, and I'm going to give you a small sample. Let's say his name is Commander Govinder Singh, all right? So it will be like, And then, coming down the aisle of power, the man of the hour, the man who would scare enemies before they even see his large visage, Commander Govinder Singh. And I tell you, my platoon went wild. They loved every presentation. I basically used wrestling because you had to be quick and entertaining, and that was the reference I had. And it taught me an important lesson that I do have a flair for public speaking. I do have a flair for performance to a certain extent. And yeah, again, I'll take that for the rest of my life. So in review for B.M.T, funny thing is, at the time, I tell you the truth, I hated the government. So you would think I would hate the army. But having gone through B.M.T, I definitely felt it helped me. Even back then, I was thinking this. It took me away from my comfortable home situation, put me in a position to teach me an important lesson for future work life or life in general, which is everybody you're going to meet might not be someone you choose to be around. And how you deal with that is very important. So I think it was very good, in my opinion. And I'll take that to my unit, which at the start, again, as usual, is probably some of the worst treatment I will ever have in my life. If you want to hear about that, watch the next video. Thank you very much. Till next word.